Hey, what's going, y'all? It is yours truly once again. My thing is overall that when I speak about this female woman logic, I really just do it to highlight a point that there's different levels to femininity. It's not that I'm really bashing this idea of a female versus a real woman, but it's just to highlight that most people generalize what womanhood is. But in good spirit of supporting the idea of a female that's trying to be right and trying to work towards her womanhood, check this out. Because, see, I say a typical female versus a real woman, but yet there's also the typical and the atypical. Now, I know I just sounded like I said atypical just a few seconds ago, but I was just saying atypical as far as like just pointing a finger at, hey, there's a typical female. But now I mean literally atypical female, atypical, one word. So basically, atypical female is not like the typical female. But at the same time, this video also addresses typical females too. And here's where I'm going with this. There's a lot to really that we can talk about here in these next few minutes. So think about it this way, because to me, in what I've been noticing universally, the word woman really stands for the womb of a man. And so this idea of a female is someone of the feminine gender that hasn't quite became a womb of a man yet. So this is where I come from in regards to men actually marry females instead. They don't marry women. Because if you think about it, a man is not going to marry a womb of a man. A womb of another man, you see. That's where I'm going with that. So he'd rather marry someone that's going to be the womb of him. But she has to become that womb of him, you see. But what can also happen is the reversal. Because obviously what I just said is what an atypical female is like. A female that wants to be a woman in that man's life. She becomes a woman upon her being married to him. Now, the typical females that end up marrying amongst men, that end up married to a man, she never becomes a woman in that man's life. She remains one of those typical females versus an atypical female. So she remains one of those type of females that never becomes a womb of that man. So in essence, she is underdeveloped in her marriage towards that man. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack with what I just said. She remains undeveloped to her marriage to that man. Now that means her mental capacity, her overall capacity is underdeveloped. But that also means her form, her being his attachment, her being his rib, she's also underdeveloped towards him, with him, amongst him. She's basically like a deformity amongst this man. She's supposed to be his attachment, but she's an underdeveloped attachment. Just think about that. So this is how men actually marry females instead, because either he's going to marry a female that wants to become a woman in his life, or he's going to marry a female that never becomes a woman in his life. And hopefully he realizes that and does something about it in regards to, hey, I like to marry women. Or I like to marry a lady that wants to be a woman in my life. And I see that you're not trying to be a woman in my life. Signing out.